And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was Zach Lowe. I listened to the Zach Lowe show quite a bit. I love his takes, and obviously he's got a great basketball mind, and he's great at communicating the game of basketball, which is super important because he can really deep dive into the game and break it down, but then he can also relate to it on a bigger level, which is so awesome for him and kind of what he's doing at the Ringer. And he did a segment on the Blazers, so of course I was locked into that. He talked about Shaedon quite a bit, which was really exciting to see. He talked about Denny as well. Talked about all the things we've talked about with the Blazers' lack of guards and injuries and things like that. So, Gliss, did you get a chance to listen to the Zach Lowe show about the Blazers, and what were your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I did, and I thought he had some really good points. For anyone who hasn't listened, kind of the main point I think Zach was trying to make is the fact that out of the teams that are kind of in that bubble, kind of in that play-in bubble, that they're the team that's just on the outside right now that seems like it has the most intent on being a playoff team. Like the team that kind of had that, like, we made a run and got close a little bit last year, and now it's time to make the next step, which I think most Blazer fans would agree with. That's what we have been talking about the entire season. And part of the reason he felt confident that the Blazers were probably, I think it was a couple teams that he listed in particular. I think it was Utah, Memphis, Sacramento. And he was basically like, this is the team that I kind of have, basically saying like they have the most upside. And he, as you mentioned too about Shaedon, he's been a big believer in Shaedon, and he was kind of making the point that over the last week, he's really started to look good. And they kind of had I can't remember who was his guest on the show, but they were kind of talking about the fact that when he's not shooting 8 to 10 mid-range shots off of the dribble, that he's a much more effective player, and we haven't seen that in the last week or so. He highlighted, which I think we did on one of the podcasts last week, some of the passing that he had, that Jerami Grant 3-point shot against Golden State, where he attracted the defense and then hit him in the corner. And so a lot of their talk about Shaedon was basically about his decision making. And I think he even made the point. He was like, if I were Tiago Splitter after that Golden State game, I would literally sit him down and watch film with him of that game and be like, you don't have to score 35 points a game, but if you have this kind of decision making every night, then you're basically going to be an all-star to superstar level player in this league based on your physical talent.
Yeah, I mean, you broke it down wonderfully, Gliss, and it's very exciting to see that from someone who obviously has a national perspective, watches all of the NBA, and that's a lot of teams to break down, but is still able to see kind of the potential in Shaedon Sharpe and what he is capable of. And yeah, exactly like you were saying, I remember he broke down a couple of Shaedon's plays in that Warriors game, and just how he was able to break down the defense so fast. He's just blowing by defenders. And then his decision-making was great in the game where he's making passes to Jerami, like you were saying, very quickly off the dribble, one-hand passes, things like that are really very difficult and show that his potential to be an all-star, a superstar, if he can really put his game together. And like you said, figure out that decision-making aspect. And so it's just exciting to hear Zach Lowe talk about it. Like, he has kind of the same thoughts and feelings that us as Blazers fans have. And that's kind of difficult to get from the national perspective because, one, people aren't putting in the time to watch the Blazers play, and which is totally fair. There's 30 NBA teams to watch. And so it's difficult to find, those kind of people who really pay attention to how the Blazers are playing and really break it down. And it was just nice to hear. And yes, I agree with all this. They were all great points. They were all fair. And he ended the segment by saying, basically, hey, Denny, like you're taking the torch from Luka for the most complaints on fouls, which we've also touched on the show as well. It's like, man, Denny, just chill just a little bit when it comes to the putting the arms up after every shot. But we love Denny, so it's like, I don't know, you can't really be that mad at it because the guy's exactly, he's averaging 26, 6 and 7 or whatever Denny's at right now. It's like, okay, I'll give him some leeway, and I'm sure Mavericks fans and Lakers fans feel the same way about Luka, but Luka really got a lot of hate for his complaining. Yeah, it was just great to hear it from Zach. Really enjoyed listening to it. Michael Pena was the guest he had on the show, and he was talking to him about that. So,
and
really
I will
awesome.
say too, both of them basically said that the Blazers have been one of the more fun teams to watch, and they did also kind of forecast their upcoming schedule, and basically were saying like if they're going to be the kind of team that we think they could be, this stretch in the next couple weeks should be a turning point for them. Like if they want to be that team, then this is the time where they could make a little bit of noise and make a move up in the standings. And also the fact that they also brought up the injuries and the fact that they don't have a point guard at all right now. And he even said if this team can get healthy and we can see Shaedon playing this kind of basketball along with how Denny has been playing all season, he was basically saying this is a must-watch TV kind of team. So, like you said, it's good to hear your team get love on a national level, especially when we're kind of tucked in the corner up in the Pacific Northwest, away from from everybody else. So, yeah, it's definitely feels good to get some love.
Man, I hope they didn't watch the game last night.